Captain's Log, January 4th, 2016. Today I want to talk a little bit about a sci-fi show on Netflix that I just discovered today thanks to one of our viewers, The Lone Draftsman. He sent me a message, and I watched an episode of this over lunch, and I was so compelled and unnerved and fascinated by the show that I felt the need to go ahead and make a video about it. So I have only watched the one episode, but it is, as I said, an anthology show, and not like American Horror Story or any of the season anthology shows. These are self-contained episodes that each happen like with the Twilight Zone in their own worlds, and it's a different cast every time, but they are all held together thematically, apparently. Like I said, I've only watched the one, but I read a little bit about it, and they're all held together by the idea of modern technology and the screens that we are constantly subjecting ourselves to and being inundated with commercials and shows and ideas from all of these different places, and that we are constantly allowing ourselves to be affected by. And it's a really interesting idea to hold together a show like this thematically. There certainly were a lot of ideas and threads that constantly were kind of interwoven in and out of different episodes of both the Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, but they covered a multitude of different science fiction, speculative fiction kind of ideas, and also lots and lots of really quirky stuff with their O. Henry endings and that kind of thing. The episode I watched, which is called 15 Million Merits, is certainly an episode that keeps you on your toes and makes you constantly, keeps you guessing, but I wouldn't say that it has really an O. Henry ending. It's not like, oh, that's what's going on this entire time. Okay. Much more of a character piece and very Orwellian. So I like this idea that the title Black Mirror is reflected in every episode, and that each one would actually, have something to do with that title, and that it's all this kind of this kind of techno thriller stuff mixed with psychological thriller naturally, as those kind of just naturally, organically go together. I saw it described somewhere as being like techno paranoia, and I think that's really interesting way to label it, or that it has like a techno paranoia bent. I think the thing about that is that it just kind of depends on how much you buy into what it's selling as far as its social commentary, because to me it doesn't feel nearly as paranoid as I wish it did. Like, how exaggerated is this really? What we have with this episode, 15 Million Merits, is basically a way, way darker version of the world of Wall-E, and not set in space, where we have, and with more exercise, where basically society is all indoors, and the majority of people are forced to work basically as like slave labor, but they don't think of it that way because they're constantly being entertained. So it can't be slavery, right? It's really unnerving, unsettling in the way that it that you can see so much of the life we live right now in it, while we all are able to go outside and get in our cars and go to jobs that we selected on purpose, or as on purpose as we can, depending on our situation, I suppose. And it is as much a commentary on the way we live now, and that's how I saw the producer describe it as well, and I agree with that, that as it is trying to speculate where we might be going, and being and trying to kind of project now into the future. And so anyway, the idea is that all of these people are forced to live in these cells that's basically one big three-dimensional TV, where every wall is a is a screen or lots of screens, and it forces you constantly to be watching whatever it wants you to watch, and it allows you to buy things with merits, and that's how the title plays in. 15 million merits. Basically, this credit system where you can pay to watch things you want to, and but it seems like there's a very small selection, and there's clearly a great deal of brainwashing that's going on. And the most interesting thing to me is that you can also pay to skip commercials. It'll play you a commercial and force you to watch something, and a lot of these commercials are really long. Like it feels more like you're watching a truncated version of an episode of something, because it's trying to influence you, not just to watch it, but to play to your baser sensibilities to keep you entertained and docile, and so it plays on our sense of barbarism, and it plays on our sexual impulses, and our tendency to like to laugh at other people's expense, to make us feel more powerful and significant than we are, and all of that is there with all these different sorts of programs. And what ends up happening is so basically you have to pedal all day long on an exercise bike. And at first it took me a while to figure out what exactly was going on, and I like that there's not a lot of spoon-fed exposition. You understand what's happening, and it's made explicit when it needs to, but you also feel like you're able to figure it out as you go along. And considering the ideas behind this, it's very important that you feel like you are involved and it's an active rather than a passive experience, right? So anyway, you have to pedal all day long in order to help generate the energy that runs all of this. And the really sad thing is that it's unclear what the point of living is, or if there even really is one, because it kind of seems like just a pointless, almost, I don't know, Rube Goldberg machine or something, where it's like, or maybe even more like, hamsters in a wheel, where you're just keeping yourself going, and you're keeping this society going, but there's not really any point to it. Even the people at the tip top, the famous people, the people who seem to have more than anyone else and more freedom than anyone else, really just seem to have nicer cells, and are still a part of this system, and they don't really. They're still caged animals, just like everybody else is. It's really super sad. The social commentary here is about not just over-reliance on technology, but again, the influence of technology. Society at large making you feel a certain way, messing with your feelings. There's even stuff here about different technologies they have, and I like, by the way, that it does feel very futuristic, where you can see things potentially moving this way if we're not careful, but it's not throwback in any way. It doesn't feel like it's traditional science fiction in the sense that it's doing what good science fiction always did, which is asking that what-if statement, projecting things forward, asking where we might be headed, either in a positive way or a negative way, and what the awful things that we see around us that could propel us to these directions, and how technology is influencing that. But it's not classic or traditional science fiction in the sense that it's trying to be like those things. It's simply taking that mission statement of science fiction and doing it in a very excellent contemporary sort of way. This over-reliance on technology message, this like we are all lemmings that are being brainwashed, and we need to take the reins and take control of our own lives and realize when we're being duped into thinking that we have freedom when we don't. We've been seeing that in so many movies and television shows over the last several years. It seems like every time I go see a science fiction movie, that it tends to be the message. This is the most enticing and compelling and sophisticated way I've seen it done in a long time. It made that fresh again, and it really scared me and bothered me, hurt my feelings in the right kind of way, but also made me root for this protagonist. Now, it seems to be kind of a dual protagonist thing, and I won't give too much away, but it ends up being more about this character Bing than it is about the girl Abby. And at first it seems like it might be going in some sort of a love story or even a tragic love story sort of way, or sort of place, and it ends up being much more about the price that you have to pay for fame, both in this society and ours. By the way, I should mention that the reason I watched this episode, if you're familiar with the show or if you've gone and looked it up already, you might be wondering, why did you watch the second episode and not the first? Well, it's because I read the plot synopsis of this one, just scanning through these, and I have been watching, for whatever reason, lately, a couple episodes here and there of the current season of The X Factor, which I had never watched before, but competition reality shows sometimes appeal to me, and this had a lot of social commentary about specifically that one, and this is in the UK, and that's where the X Factor started, and there is a Simon Cowell character on the judges panel for that show, and the idea is that there's this girl that sings really well, and Bing hears her in a bathroom, and they have like a co-ed bathroom, which I think is really interesting, that they decided to go that way. There's not even really any sense of difference between anyone, including even looking at the sexes in this world, because everybody is just kind of a cog in a machine. So we've got co-ed bathrooms, and nobody thinks anything of it because everybody's kind of forced to live separately. Everybody's apart, and like there are no windows. You never go outside in this. You never see what the world at large looks like, and it gives you this really claustrophobic kind of feeling. And in order to keep people from going insane, there are all these walls with these panels that are showing like scenic scapes, but they're always really cartoony, and that leads that adds to this idea that Bing becomes really obsessed with and angry about that nothing is real, and that we're constantly paying for fake things. So anyway, the reason, sorry, I guess I got off track a little bit, but the reason I decided to watch this one because I wanted to see what the commentary about those kinds of shows were, and again, some of the most sophisticated rips into what reality TV can be that I've seen. Now, I think that shows like The X Factor and I guess, what, So You Think You Can Dance? I guess I haven't really watched much of that. My kid has, because Jason really loves dancing. And American Idol, which I guess is in its last season this year. Shows like that, I don't think that they are quite as shallow as this is making them out to seem, but again, it's extrapolating into the future, so I can see how a thing like this could turn into what we see here, and again, it's very Orwellian in that way, where it's trying to reveal and exploit problems in the society by exaggerating them and taking them to their furthest possible extent. And so, anyway, you've got this really shallow reality show where people are brought in who have these hopes and aspirations of fame, and they're either sent to sing and perform that way, or there's a judge on the panel who is in charge of the television network, or I guess the show that's the pornography show, and some people who go on that show end up having to become porn stars, and the only way they can get out of having to bike every day and have make a better life for themselves is to sell their bodies in that way. But then, aren't you kind of in this society selling yourself no matter what you do, because everyone is basically a slave, and that's kind of what the whole point of it ultimately ends up being, without, giving away the ending. So we are dealing with commentary of every sort of facet of our modern internet tech techno experience. We've got reality television. We've got video games. We've got Facebook and Facebook games, and that's where a lot of this buying things that don't really exist thing comes in. People aren't allowed to have possessions of their own in this universe, and instead they pay for things for their virtual character, just like people do in Facebook games and online and stuff. People basically have these Mii's, like Wii or Wii U Mii's, or I guess avatars in the other next gen consoles. And you're supposed to kind of trade a real life of freedom for this kind of totally pointless internet experience, and it's really super sad. But I can see kind of extrapolating to that place, and how people might get there and not even realize what they're allowing society to become. Is it a super ultra preachy thing? No, I don't think so. Because I was engaged and cared about these characters in this world. It basically presents it to us, and then you can make up your mind for yourself if this is a society that you think is, or if the society we're seeing here. I think everybody would say that this is a really scary, awful world that you'd have to live in. But and I guess that means that we're not too far gone. That I feel like most people would not want to live in this world, and that's a good thing, because it's all about dehumanization and people be kind of again becoming baser and less than human. And but you can kind of decide for yourself if you think that the world is as bad off as this is kind of making it out to be. But again, it's, while there's a lot of social commentary, it's set in the future. We're pushing things forward, so it's not saying necessarily that it's already like that. It's saying that this is where things could go if we aren't careful, and that's very important. The questions of identity and who you are in a world like this, if you matter, how you can, how, if at all, you can make a life for yourself and be your own person in the society, is the thing that really appealed to me. I guess the only criticism I really have about it, just on this one viewing, is I'm not sure how exactly Bing, this main guy, got to be so thoughtful and introspective about it over so many of the other characters in this world. But I do like how everybody is kind of different and has a different reaction to it, and how very complicated, not black and white at all, it becomes by the end. That's all I'm going to say about it, but I thought it was absolutely fascinating. The production values are incredible. I felt like I was watching a feature film, and even though it's only an hour long, I feel like I'm reviewing a movie right now. It was just absolutely wonderful. The sets that were built for this were marvelous. It feels like a world that you'd want to keep living in, and that they and that the whole show would be built around. It doesn't feel like a one-off episode with it's not like Twilight Zone where there's a lot of minimalism, and I love that show for that. But this just felt like sort of like Doctor Who, and by the way, there were a lot of Doctor Who parallels I noticed, certainly, because that show has certainly dealt with a lot of those ideas of becoming one of a collective consciousness and losing your identity and that kind of thing. And this does it in more of a realistic kind of real world sort of kind of way. But like I said, it feels like a movie, and gets a lot done in that 60 something minutes. But I would highly recommend it. I'm going to watch the rest of it, and I'm very excited to do that. Apparently, Netflix has ordered a full 13 episodes for its third season. The first couple seasons only have like 3 episodes apiece, I think, and they and that's great. They clearly are putting we're putting an entire season's budget, or maybe they just don't have a lot of money for the show, but it looks incredible. Apparently, I mean, it looks to me like they probably just took their whole budget and said, let's just make 3 episodes and make them look really really good. But Netflix picked up the show, and the critical reaction has just been glowing, and so they've ordered more episodes. Apparently, there's going to be a US version sometime soon, so this thing is turning into a giant mega hit, it looks like, and it should. It's deserving of it. People need to watch this. I think that that it's really thought-provoking, and it's a show that we need right now. And certainly, there's plenty of dark stuff. There's plenty of cynical stuff, and kind of just gut-wrenching, make you want to slit your wrists at the end of the show kinds of things. But this is smarter than a lot of them. And while I'm appreciating the greater variety we're getting lately, where we're finally starting to get some more lighthearted things, some more optimistic things to counterbalance that. This is very smart stuff, and we need something like this to counterbalance some of the pseudo intellectual stuff that we're getting on regular broadcast network television. So I would recommend this to anyone, especially big science fiction buffs and people that like speculative fiction, and people that like Orwellian type stuff that kind of projects into the future and exaggerates things in order to reveal truths about the society and the culture we live in. Well, anyway, thanks as always for watching. Sure appreciate it. And this concludes today's Captain's Log.